Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody, we have the best economy. But the tariff question, because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble.
Donald Trump is demanding $71 billion for U.S.-Canada border issues. And the media, of course, is saying Canada is not going to capitulate. Mark Carney's not talking to Trump. Well, Mark Carney just came out today and said he did talk to Trump during that time. And he actually mentioned something really specific that I've not seen anybody talk about that I think is a big deal for what's going on. And this is all while Mark Carney's under pressure from the Conservatives. They came out with their huge new announcement today, which would be big for Canada-US relations. But of course, Mark Carney has to come out and defend large corporate interests, and there's a bunch of caveats to that because there's important information we need to discuss about the Conservatives too. But we know the Liberals know how to do business, and Mark Carney knows how to get deals done. That's why they just announced over $500 million in losses on a $7 billion project. It's been insane. And at the end of the video, we have a really cool article that I think actually applies to everybody. It actually makes a great point about finding a community that you belong to, and I think we need to discuss it. There's a lot to talk about in today's video, so let's get into it. Starting out with one of the first clips from Trump here. This is the clip that came out that, of course, the Canadian mainstream media, all online, everybody was trying to run cover for, as if, no, Mark Carney didn't even talk to Trump. He hasn't talked to him in a long time.
In Huntsville, Space.com will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. The finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope.
Like I said, mainstream media started running cover for that pretty much right away, trying to say, oh, no, it's actually about the tariffs and Canada's winning. It's not capitulating. We'll get to Mark Carney's statement in a second because it clearly shows that Trump is putting major pressure on him in a lot of ways.
We've also got our eyes on the tariff situation and what it means for Canada now that a U.S. federal appeals court has thrown much of Donald Trump's tariff strategy into uncertainty. CTV's Rachel Aiello now and where things stand now that September is here. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Sandy. The start of September marked the end of Canada's counter tariffs on U.S. goods covered under CUSMA. Today, Donald Trump showed no signs of reciprocating. The U.S. president is preparing to defend his global tariff regime before the Supreme Court.
Because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble.
Trump standing.
It's really funny because so they've spun it as like, okay, finally Canada is letting up on the tariffs, but look at how much trouble Trump's in. It's really funny to see the titling difference on the Canadian mainstream media and the U.S. mainstream media, like when I watch things over there and see on the Canadian side, it's, oh, he's getting smoked by the Supreme Court and there's no way he can have tariffs, and without the tariffs, you know, his country's in trouble. Like that's the way that they're spinning it. Meanwhile, I was just reading another article that they basically have step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on how they're going to keep the tariffs in place, including fighting these decisions from the Supreme Court. But of course, this MP says Canada's not capitulating. We're standing up to Trump. Well, Mark Carney's saying something else.
By his trade tactics comes as one cabinet minister asserted today that despite dropping retaliatory tariffs, Prime Minister Mark Carney hasn't put his elbows down.
There's no capitulation. Let's be clear. Zero. Never, never. That's not happening. We're trying to match exactly what the Americans have done.
We're not capitulating at all. I mean, we did take off the counter tariffs that we were doing to stand up to the U.S. He's like the digital minister, and we took off the digital sales tax and all these things. Don't get me wrong. I think we should have taken the tariffs down. I think we should have got rid of the digital services tax. So I'm fine with those things being done. But the fact is, it was antithetical to what Mark Carney said he was going to do. And these liberal ministers are just so far up their own butts that he can't even, well, we're not capitulating at all. I mean, you've backed down on every single one of the ways that you've been fighting back. And even Mark Carney now is admitting that he's been talking with Trump. And this was the funniest part because people were saying he never talked to him. And then look at this.
When was the last time that you you exchanged messages or you spoke to the U.S. president. And it's been 4 months that you've been texts, messages.
It sounds like you're my teacher and I've been caught.
And
Yeah, he has been caught. That's the thing. That's why he's like so giddy and caught off guard. Like, look at his face.
it's been 4 months since you've been in government. How much longer do Canadians have to wait to see results from those talks with the U.S. president?
Okay, well, let's go to results. Right now, we have the best trade deal of any country in the world. Okay, those are results. We think it can be better, and we're working to make it better. But to be absolutely clear, 85% of our trade with the United States is tariff-free.
So not only is that not true, it's 85% of the trade with the U.S. basically qualifies to be tariff-free. So to say that we have the best trade deal and that's results is also a lie, because he's saying it's results, but he's also saying, well, we already have CUSMA. So we already have the USMCA agreement. Well, that's not results that Mark Carney gets to take credit for. Those were existing agreements that we're now using to say, well, we have such a good trade deal already. Okay, well, that's not results, Mark.
Nobody else is in that position. Our average tariff is about 5.5%. That's the lowest average tariff of any country in the world. So right now we have the best, but we have real issues. Without question, we have real issues in steel, in aluminum, in forest products, in autos, potentially in pharma, copper, some other sectors. So there's these strategic sectors that the U.S. has focused on where we have issues. And as well,
look, we've got the best deal. We just do have some issues in most of Canada's largest industries.
there will be a review of CUSMA, our trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, starting next year. So we need to prepare for that. We need to lay the groundwork for that review, and we need to address as rapidly as possible these strategic sectors.
And that's where a lot of the pressure's coming in, especially when it's like, the Golden Dome. We want you to pay $71 billion. We want you to be part of it. You need to pay attention to your border security. You need to make sure that you're letting in the right people. And that's why this immigration stuff that we're going to get into is so important, because he's about to mention something very related to it, but we'll have to play it a couple times because he mumbles it. I had to slow it down originally and just check it out.
Okay. So that's the overall context. So we're looking now, given that we've got the best deal, to really focus in on those strategic sectors and prepare the groundwork for that broader discussion on CUSMA. That's what we're doing. I last spoke, exchanged messages. I last spoke to the president Monday evening. We spoke at length. On a wide range of issues, including on trade, but geopolitical, other issues, labor issues, etc.
That's the part right there. Of course on trade, but also geopolitical issues, labor issues, and he kind of like says it like labor issues, and he just moves on quickly, like as if he didn't say it. Let's watch it again, just because he gets by it so quick. Including
on trade, but geopolitical, other issues, labor issues, etc. It was a good conversation. We have a team. A very senior team. The clerk of the Privy Council is there.
And we know Mark Carney is under tons of pressure when it comes to labor issues, Canada's economy. Canada is going so rapidly broke. We've been using quantitative peopling. We've just been pumping in immigrants to try and keep the economy afloat. And that's why when he's talking about all these things, and he's getting these pressure from Donald Trump, the USMCA agreement, the CUSMA agreement is almost up. He's got no choice to get serious. One of those things that he will have to do to make Canada a more sovereign nation that he wants to do is crack down on immigration. And that's why when we got this huge announcement from Pierre, I thought it was such a big deal and in a positive way, but there's a caveat. Unfortunately, I got to call you out, Pierre, and all the conservatives.
We're addressing a program that temporarily brings people from low-wage countries to replace Canadians and drive down the wages of our people. The time has come for decisive action to stop the Liberals from using our immigration system to pad the pockets of corporate elites and other insiders at the expense of Canadian jobs. Again, the principle is very simple. The principle is very simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first, Canada always. That's why Conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently scrap the temporary foreign worker program and to stop issuing visas for any new temporary foreign workers coming into the country. Under this proposal, existing permits would be wound down until the program is entirely eliminated. Canadian jobs will go to Canadian workers first. It's time that Mr. Carney took the job seriously of repairing the damage that his party has done.
So that is an amazing announcement, and it is an immigration pathway that has absolutely been abused. It has been defrauded. It's been used to essentially bring over slave labor from other countries so that large corporations can increase their profits. It's been at the expense of Canadians. It's been making almost every single thing in Canada worse. However, there's a couple things we need to talk about with the Conservatives and their cleaning up immigration platform, because this has been an issue for a very long time. And I don't think it's just about corporate profits, again, which they've said we need to clean up border security, especially if we want to be part of the Golden Dome and these other things. And that is going to have to start with us slashing immigration numbers. Unfortunately, we have to call this out, and luckily Kirk Lubomov put this together. Finally, Pierre Poilievre is calling to an end temporary foreign workers programs, but he also supported keeping students from India who came to Canada with false paperwork here and against deportation while giving them TFW permanent residency. Conservatives are fighting for the students at the Immigration Committee. Do you get it yet? You won't find cultists and Mouthpiece talking about this. I'm talking about it, Kirk, I swear. But this is a really important video. Let's get into this. If you liked the video yet, we're trying to get these videos out in front of more people. We are trying to grow the channel. If you want to be part of the community here, don't forget to subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. Everybody who became a channel member, contributed to the channel, you guys are awesome. We're building something cool here. Let's get back to it.
Well, it's the continued human misery as a result of Justin Trudeau's total incompetence. To start with, the Trudeau government should have been able to verify that the letters were fake years ago when they were first used. Let's remember, these students handed in the letters. So the government has had these letters for years, and they could have simply called the educational institutions and said, are these real? And if not, they could have gone back to the students and said, listen, it looks like you've been duped. Let's start over again, get yourself a real letter, and then we can proceed. But instead, the Trudeau government let it happen, let the students come. They got here, they did their studies, many graduated, many are already employed, doing important work in our economy.
Important work? Important work? I don't know about that, because especially the student one was scammed and defrauded way more than even the LMIA, because we had way higher numbers of international students coming in, 800,000, 900,000 per year.
And now Trudeau says he wants to deport them all. Why? What's the point of deporting them now? What harm would it cause to let those who were here having come in good faith to stay and continue to live out their work permits and apply like everyone else for permanent residency? We need young people because of our aging population. We need workers because of our labor shortage. Why not allow these good faith students to stay here rather than sending them home empty-handed with a big pile of debts that will destroy their families?
Well, Pierre, there's actually lots of problems for letting them stay here, and so many problems that you're now listing them off in your press conferences. In the video that I showed of Pierre talking about wanting to crack down on the temporary foreign workers, his actual statements, 10 minutes long, where he's listing off all of the issues, where he's defending it here and saying, what's the harm? And this is the important stuff. I want to give you shout outs. I want to give myself shout outs. Every Canadian who has been vocal about the problems they are experiencing due to mass immigration has been instrumental in this pivot from the Conservative Party. This is not a Conservative Party-led agenda. This was a groundswell of support that allowed them to now come out and say, okay, we're going to crack down on this, but this was not their idea first. So when we have these posts from, Michelle Rempel-Garner, and she's now memeing on the Liberals when they're saying, oh, no, you can't just scrap the temporary foreign worker program, Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Look, I absolutely agree. But she's putting out all of these tweets like she's been talking about this for years, and this was just such an obvious thing that Canada needs to crack down on. Why are we all so dumb? This program's been defrauding everybody. We know that, Michelle, and I'm going to show you that we know that. When she says things like, hopefully it was because he decided that arguing in favor of the government-sponsored indentured servitude was a dumb idea, which is basically what we're defending there. I think we're all on the same page now. These immigration scams, which destroyed Canada's economy, our social systems, social cohesion, all of these things were a dumb idea. In fact, it was such a dumb and obvious idea that this handsome young gentleman, a gentleman who goes by the name of Spencer Gatton, looking Absolutely dapper. This is my old thumbnail style here. And if you look at the title of the video, Canada's major new employment scam. This is from over a year ago. Look, it's even my old studio. It's not even the new one that we're in now. I mean, I was one of the first ones to do a big YouTube video about this specific scam that we're talking about today, but it existed as a problem. It just was not politically safe for them to talk about. It's not exactly working out well for Canadians, just the corporations who seem to make their profits go up.
Mr. Poilievre called this morning on the government to scrap the temporary foreign worker program. Is it time to shut the program down?
Well, I would say the following, which is that that program has a role. It has to be focused in terms of its role. And it's part of what we're reviewing. It's part of what we will be discussing, how well the temporary foreign worker program is working and how our overall immigration system is working. We've been absolutely
exclusive to the agriculture sector. Don't let it be allowed basically in any other sector. That's the only way I would ever sign off on it or say it's okay.
Clear as a government that we want, and we're putting in place policies so that the overall level of immigration as a proportion of the population will decline from around 7% today to around 5% several years from now.
No, it was 7%. Don't worry, we're going to take years to get to 5%. Historically, people complained about 2.5%, but we've shifted the Overton window of what Canadians think is normal for a nation built on immigrants because we had a decade of that beaten into our heads. They ripped open the skull and they said, nation of immigrants, nation of immigrants, nation of immigrants. Diversity is our strength. And it's like, are you sure? I don't think it used to be like that.
The biggest contributor to immigration is not temporary foreign workers. It's a variety of other factors. And I will say, je vais répéter en français parce que c'est important.
I will repeat in French because it's important.
When I talk to businesses around the country, particularly in Quebec, but elsewhere across the country, their number one issue is tariffs, and their number two issue is access to temporary foreign workers. Okay? Et pour le moment, c'est une des grandes.
For the moment, it's a great request of the Quebec government and a big demand of the Quebec companies. But we have to keep this program, but eliminate this program.
So, of course, it comes down to Quebec and the Quebec companies. They actually do know that the Indians are always going to find another way to scam their way in because Indians comprise largest country cohorts making refugee claims in Canada. According to an immigration consultant, claimants from India also figure among the top 10 nationalities when it comes to refusal rates. That just statistically makes sense. If they're the highest country when they're submitting, chances are they're probably going to have one of the top 10 highest refusal rates. This is the program that I'm talking about. Look at this. This is from the Government of Canada website. So we're always talking about the LMIAs, the temporary foreign workers, which is the same thing in the US as an H-1B visa and hiring a temporary foreign worker to come in and replace. Well, Canada has an even worse program than that. And they go, oh, if you want to hire a worker without an LMIA, not only is the LMIA process the easiest process to scam outside of the student process, turns out you can skip the entire thing with the International Mobility Program. And I strongly suggest you guys look into the International Mobility Program because it lets you, the employer, hire a temporary worker without a labor market impact assessment. In most cases, you'll have to submit an offer of employment through the employer portal. After your part is done, the temporary foreign worker must just apply for the permit. And I looked it up, and this program is 6 times larger than the LMIA program from the permits I was seeing that were being approved. It's funny that Mark Carney says, well, the LMIA program's not even the worst program. Then why don't you shut down this program too if you know there's lots of programs out there that are causing issues? But it's because, for some reason, liberals, people in Quebec, whatever it is, don't understand business. This announcement is insane.
Quebec announced today it is pulling the plug on Northvolt, a Swedish company behind plans for a giant EV battery factory in the province. The mega project was going to cost $7 billion, and the province has already invested hundreds of millions to get it started. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin on the project, and surprising news. Jen.
Just quickly to talk about lack of viability of the project, which was supposed to be a private company building inside of Canada, which was supposed to generate 3,000 jobs, had $4.4 billion in commitments from the federal government.
Yes, Andy, the Quebec government has made it official. The Northvolt project is dead. It was supposed to be built here, about 30 kilometers from Montreal, on this large piece of land. There had already been some work underway, but now it simply won't happen. This was something that was announced 2 years ago. Ottawa and Quebec had pledged some money. Ottawa has yet to invest a penny, so
some money.
It doesn't have money in the game right now. Quebec's taxpayers, though, are on the hook for about $500 million. The Quebec government says it will now try to recuperate about $240 million of that. It will go to the courts to do that.
So basically, 270 million gone, already evaporated, 100% lost. An additional 240 million they're going to try and recoup. It's not guaranteed, and there's obviously associated costs, all these other things. $550 million, $500 million on a project that never got built. Holy smokes. Government was kind enough to release their investment model, and we have that here. In 2018, they said green investing is the way of the future. 2021, oh, let's invest in Northvolt. In 2024, Northvolt is bankrupt, but we're protected. In 2025, we lost everything. Great investment plans from the governments there. It's not like they were planning on investing around $7 billion total for this project. Not like we could have used that in other nation-building infrastructure and projects, especially since $7 billion, 3,000 jobs, which it was supposed to create, that's creeping up on $2.5 million per job. And we know so many more people have problems with the government, with their decisions, everything they're doing, and they're just too scared to talk about it. And this is why I wanted to talk about this article here. And I think it's really important for everybody. Nearly half of all Canadian university students are actively hiding their real beliefs, says the survey. Tristan Hopper, the survey by Aristotle Foundation, also finds that students with conservative views now outnumber those with liberal views. We're winning, boys. We're coming back. Nearly half of all Canadian university students are actively concealing their real opinions for fear of sanction or mistreatment, according to the comprehensive new study published Wednesday. Liberals basically feel free to say anything they want on any subject, regardless of consequences. That's not an overstatement, while moderates and conservatives and libertarians feel like they have to radically self-censor if they want to avoid consequences for their beliefs. This is what we can take away from that article. So many more people think the way that you do. So many more people are scared. They're self-censoring, not wanting to express their true feelings because they think, what's going to happen? This is proof. There's power in numbers. We saw that principle reflected in today's video. The Conservative Party is changing their full stance on immigration because people got vocal. It's the same thing in the US. There was a lot of silent majority. People were scared to speak out. You might be sitting beside someone right now who feels the exact same way that you do, but both of you guys are too scared to speak out, and these could be things you're talking about right now on how Canada could improve, the US could improve. So remember, speak your truth. There's no harm in speaking in objective realities and things you believe, and that's how the only way we're going to be able to build a stronger relationship between the US and Canada. We need to make Fortress America. We need to get a deal done. As we saw in this video, Canada's broke. A deal is needed now more than ever. But if you made it this far in the video, you absolutely rock. Don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want to be part of the community here as well. I love engaging with you guys in the comments. It's awesome to have you on board. And if you want to support the channel, you can do it through the link down below. You can do it through YouTube. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.